Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
Hello and welcome to the Leveling Up Podcast with me, George Swift. The Leveling Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the inspiration, the motivation, but above all else to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Don't forget, subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. And in this episode, we are talking about quantum mechanics. We're talking about the unconscious and how it's driving you on default programs that you're running to a predetermined destination. And ultimately, how does that all fit together to empower you, the ambitious business owner, to get yourself on the right path, to get yourself on the right track, to get you ultimately what you want to get out of life and out of business. Heavy topics, heavy subject matter. However, I'm going to make it super accessible for you right now. And most importantly, I'm going to give you some practicalities of what you can actually do to keep you on the right path and to make sure that you are aligned with the future that you want to create for yourself. The title of this episode is The Quantum Fork in the Road. I'm going to come back to that in just a little bit. I want to start off by first and foremost getting you to understand that you are on a predetermined path that is taking you to the future that you are currently aligned with. And that path has been laid out by your unconscious based on all the lessons and all of the learning and the teachings and the experiences that you've had up until this point. Now, that path has got you where you are right now, and it will take you somewhere in the future. However, it might not be where you would choose for yourself. So before we can even really get stuck into the main concepts in this episode, I need you to be really honest with yourself, to be really frank with yourself and ask yourself a really simple question. That is, are you happy with where you are going? If you are going to map out a trajectory, so let's go back 5 years and look at where you are now and then continue that trajectory for another 5 years. Does that take you to a place where you are fully fulfilled, where you would choose to be? You can look back 1 year and look ahead 1 year if you want. However, the longer the term you look over, the more accurate you're going to be able to predict those trends. If you've been in business, for example, for the last 10 years, you could look back 10 years, look at where you are right now, plot a graph of that growth and put a graph of the direction of your business, and then continue that trajectory 10 years into the future and just say to yourself, this is the path that I'm currently on. This is the trend that I'm currently playing out on. And does this take me where I want to be in 10 years' time? So go back as far as you can within the realms that are relative to where you are right now. So for example, if you've been in business for a year, it kind of might be kind of pointless to go back 20 years and, into 3 careers that you had ago, for example, because it might not really give you an idea of where you're going. It might give you a picture of your life direction, but it might not necessarily give you the overall kind of accuracy that you're looking for here to see whether or not you feel like you're on the right path. However, it's up to you. It's your life. If you feel it makes sense to go back 20 years and look at where you started out your career, and then you look at your career choices and your career changes, and then look at starting up your business 12 months ago and look at where you are right now in business, and you want to map that out into the future and just get a general feel as to whether you're on the right path or not, you can do that. As I always say in my success group sessions, I say on anything, any room, any workshop that I'm running, the bottom line is treat what I'm saying as more of a template to guide you rather than a blueprint that you're meant to follow to the letter. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to apply this content for yourself. The bottom line is the same, however. Are you happy with where you are right now? Are you happy with the progress you've made? And are you happy with where this current path takes you? Now, I don't want you to be unhappy necessarily. I just want you to ask the question is that what you would choose for yourself if you could? Is it fulfilling enough? Does it give you enough? Is it exciting enough, inspirational enough? Is it aspirational enough for you to keep you firing on all cylinders for the next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 20 years in the future? If the answer is no, then the good news is you have a choice to make. But before we understand that we have a choice to make, we have to first understand that we aren't making choices on a regular basis. We sometimes feel we're making choices. However, it's manipulated by the unconscious. The unconscious has put us on this trajectory. And even when we're faced with a decision or we're faced with a choice, when we make that choice, a huge manipulation behind that choice is the unconscious. It's been suggested that up to 99% of everything we think, feel, and do is driven unconsciously. That sometimes as little as 1% of our thoughts, our feelings, our actions that we're taking, the choices we're making, the decisions we're making are actually conscious. In other words, we're making them. So the unconscious is playing out computer programs based on its learning from our past, and it's projecting us on a course of action into the future that it has learned as safe. However, these safety mechanisms are very primitive, very prehistoric. It goes back to our ancestry when we were living in caves, living up trees, living, foraging in burrows on the ground, even going all the way back to when we were living in the swamps and in the seas itself. So some of this manipulation isn't going to serve us given the complexities of modern life, given entrepreneurism, given the nature of what it is we're trying to do here. We're self-aware creatures. We have a concept of ourself. We have dreams and ambitions of what we want in the future. And some of what's perceived as safe for us is actually the very stuff that's holding us back. Of course, in our ancestry, in our evolutionary past, as long as we survived, everything was working fine. However, we have an opportunity now as human beings to not just survive, but to actually thrive, to potentially override some of those predetermined actions, behaviors, reactions, expectations that we have out of life. We can erase that and we can rewrite our own. We can take ourselves on our own self-determined course of life rather than a predetermined course of life. However, do not think for a second that this is easy to do. We are hardwired with these evolutionary principles. The unconscious is hardwired with those mechanisms, with those systems and processes that manipulate us based on this, not just learning in our own life, but actually the learning from our entire species, evolutionary collective lessons and learning in life and the lessons for survival. We have an unprecedented opportunity right now to self-determine our course of action and to self-determine where we end up in life, what we create out of life. However, do not kid yourself for a second that it's going to be easy. Just because you sit there and think you want to be successful, just because you have an idea of where you want to get to, don't think that it's an easy process to actualize that. The reason we exist as a club, the reason personal development exists, the reason that you have personal trainers, the reason all these industries exist and that I exist and that we exist as a business is because it's really fucking hard to just do what you know you need to do in order to fulfill a potential that you have inside of yourself, an idea, a concept, a dream, if you like, of what it is that you want to create in life, who it is you want to be in life. It is not the easy route. Just wanting to be slim and just desiring to be slim and having a strategy to be slim is not enough to make people slim. Otherwise, everybody would be slim. We'd all be fit. We'd all be healthy. Or at the very least, we'd all be choosing whether or not to be slim or not. The bottom line is really simple. Just because you make a choice to be slim, just because you make a choice to be successful, just because you make a choice to be happy right now doesn't make it so. And in fact, you'll hear a lot of personal development gurus and some of these people I absolutely look up to that will say to you that success is about choice and about making decisions. And the truth of the matter is that's not true. For me, I always say, the decision, the choice might be the catalyst. It might be the first spark of creating change. But ultimately, it's commitment and the follow through that actually creates change. We can all make decisions right now to be happier, more fulfilled, to be healthier, slimmer, to be wealthier, to work harder, to be more loving, more compassionate, more understanding. And you know what? it just isn't that easy to then follow through and make that happen. Why? Because most of who we are is unconsciously driven, up to 99%. Even at our most cognitive, our most lucid, we're still only like 5% consciously driving our life forward. In other words, choosing our thoughts and choosing our actions and reactions and choosing what it is we want out of life and what we do and where we ultimately go in life. Only 5% maximum at any point in time is us. 95% to 99% is the unconscious. So the first half of this episode is all about understanding the fact that you are on a path right now, and it's a path that you did not choose, even if maybe you feel like you were a part of that choice. If you were about 5% maximum a part of that choice. Even that choice you made was driven by unconscious manipulations. So this is a real quagmire. And I could talk about this for hours, for days, for weeks. And to be honest with you, I do. I bash my members over the head with this over and over again. It's a consistent message at success groups to understand the role that the unconscious plays in manipulating our behaviors and our actions and even our thoughts and feelings, and manipulates our experience of life. And of course, it's manipulating our end results in life and what we get to create out of life. It's manipulating our struggles. It's manipulating our joys. And when it comes to personal development, a big part of what I empower people with is to influence and manipulate those systems that are already influencing and manipulating us. In other words, we can't break free of this manipulation or this system because, of course, it's hardwired into our brains. It's hardwired into our very existence. So you can't get out of the system. You can't escape the manipulation. Our job is to use our conscious forces, our conscious self, the wise part of who we are, our self-awareness, our ability to project into the future, to dream, our ability to plan, all of these things that we have at a conscious level. Our job is to use these to influence and manipulate those unconscious drivers that are driving the course and the direction of our life. It's a big subject, and therefore I've dedicated half of this podcast to that, because the next part of the podcast is all about choices, making choices. And I want to share with you the science of quantum physics, the science of quantum mechanics, to help you understand the power of that choice that you have to make, that you can make every second of your current journey. The unconscious is making those choices and decisions on your behalf. You have to get cognitive. You have to get lucid. You have to wake up, stop being so unconscious, to stop sleepwalking through your life, and to start to take the reins and the direction of your life and start to plot a course that takes you where you want to get to. So in quantum physics, in quantum mechanics, here's a couple of things that you may or may not know. Number one, every single possible outcome exists right now. Every single permutation of what could be exists right now. It exists in possibility. The second thing is, everything that has been, everything that is, and everything that will be throughout the course of the entirety of time exists right now, in a moment of now. In fact, it was Fred Alan Wolf I saw doing a talk many years ago. He's also known as Dr. Quantum. He was talking about reality and he was talking about time. And I might be misquoting him, but this is how I remember what he said. He said that reality was momentary collapses of possibility into actuality that give the illusion of now. And again, don't quote me on that, but that's what I took from his talk. I remember him saying a sentence very similar to that, and it's stuck with me ever since. Momentary collapses of possibility into actuality. In other words, everything exists in possibility. He showed me how when you drill down at an atomic level, the building blocks of the entire material universe, what you have at an atomic level is possibility. That anything is possible. And that when we observe these atoms, when we interact with these atoms, they collapse into actuality. So I am taking a lot of heavy science here and compressing it for the convenience of this episode. What you need to take away from this is that right now, everything is in a state of flux. Everything exists in possibility, but every moment that we're interacting with life, every moment that possibility is collapsing into moments of actuality. And it's that actuality that we are perceiving as reality, that we're perceiving as life, that we are perceiving as now. Also, the fact that everything that has been, everything that is, and everything that will be and could be exists all now in this moment of now means that we get to choose which of those possibilities plays out as actuality. The unconscious is driving us, it's driving you on a predetermined path. However, all other possibility for you in your life, your business, your future, that also exists out there. You're just on one path of possibility collapsing into that actuality that you're living into right now. You get to change the direction of your life by choosing a different outcome, choosing a different possibility for yourself. But first and foremost, you have to exist in possibility yourself. You have to acknowledge that possibility exists, that who you are right now is just one possible version of yourself. The life you have right now is just one possible version of life available to you. And your future, the one that you're on cruise control to, that's just one possible outcome for you. And there are many, many versions of the future for you. And you are at a crossroads. Every moment, every second, every microsecond, you are at a crossroads and you are either in alignment with one path and one outcome, or you're in alignment with another path and another outcome. So therefore, just setting goals, making a choice, making a decision, whilst that might be the spark of change, what you have to then do is continually, consistently continue to make those choices every single moment. Because every moment there's possibility that's collapsing into moments of actuality. And every moment you're living in possibility, but every moment that you don't embrace the possibility that's available for you, that you're not choosing the outcome that you want, that you're not choosing the path that you're on, that possibility is creating an actuality that is predetermined by your past. And if you're not happy with the past equaling your future, then be empowered to understand that at a very physical, scientific, at a very real, albeit seemingly crazy conceptual idea and notion of what reality is, that you have unlimited possibility. You have unlimited choices to make. But your unconscious is playing out one path. If you want something different, then embrace the crossroads, the quantum crossroads that you have right now. There is infinite possibility existing around you right now, but you're only living out one particular path. Choose the path you want, choose the outcome you want every single moment of every single day, and keep bringing yourself back on the path that takes you where you want to get to. Take that vision that you have of the future, take that dream that you have for your life and for yourself and for your business, and make that your actuality. Make that your reality by choosing at every single step of this journey to create that outcome, to live in alignment with that outcome, to make the choices every single second, every single moment, every single step of this journey that takes you to that outcome. Now, I'm not expecting you to fully understand what I'm sharing with you right now. I'm barely touching the surfaces of quantum physics. And let's be honest, I know about 0.0001% of what quantum physics is. And guess what? As a world, even the most intelligent, the most leading edge quantum physicists, they might know 1,000,000 times more than me, but they still don't know hardly anything around this science. There's a great science saying, which is, if you aren't terrified by quantum physics, you simply don't understand it yet. It's a terrifying notion of trying to bend your head around things that we can't possibly understand from where we are as human beings. Let's leave the scientists to turn their brains inside out, trying to work out exactly what this really means to us as human beings and how it plays out, and to try and remove themselves from this reality to get outside of this reality to really get a picture, a snapshot of what reality really is. Let's leave that for them. For us, let's just embrace this concept that is so much more than a concept. It's an actuality, which is that all things possible exist for you. You're only living out one particular path, which is taking you to one particular outcome that's predetermined by your unconscious learning over the years and the decades of your life. It's a prehistoric evolutionary mechanism that's manipulating you to take action based on a concept of what is safe, based on ancient models of safety. And understand that we need to step into the possibility of what could be, to step away from the actuality that we exist in and step into the possibility of what it is that we would choose to achieve and what we choose to do. Practicalities for this are very much in alignment with everything that we talk about on this podcast, everything we put in place at our success groups. It's about having very clear, defined goals that are not limited by our own self-imposed limitations, our doubts, our fears, our limited expectations of ourselves or of business or life or financially or health. It's about stepping outside of that, stretching open possibility. The first part of my goal setting process that every member at Success Groups has to undertake just to be a member at Success Groups, they have to push and expand and stretch the boundaries of what's possible for them. You're never going to be able to fully embrace infinite possibility. It's beyond our ability as human beings to even be able to conceive of that. What we can do, however, is take what we believe is possible for us right now, and we can expand and we can lean on it and we can stretch that possibility to encompass more possibility. And when we stretch that possibility out, it creates opportunity for us. Opportunity that doesn't exist when we have a restricted view of who we are, what we can achieve, and ultimately where life will take us. We set our goals from the maximum possibility that we're able to embrace wherever we happen to be in our own life right now. For some people, that might be taking their business expectations from 50K to 70K. For someone else, it's taking those limited expectations of 100K and turning them to 100 million. The more we push against our own self-imposed limitations of what's possible for us, the easier it is to expand that possibility. And the good news is you don't need to be able to expand your possibility to be 100 million right now. If you're a 50K business, can you push it to 100 to 150? If you're at 100K, can you push it to 250,000, 500,000? If you're 500,000, can you push it to 1 million, 2 million? And if you're 1 or 2 million, can you go to 10 million to 100 million? This is how it works, okay? Constantly pushing against what's possible for us, not willing to accept the predetermined path that we seem to be on, and embracing what is possible for us. Then turning that into actuality by creating goals around that, systems, processes for achieving those goals, plans, methodologies, strategies for achieving those goals. And then we must hold focus on it every single day, every moment of every day. Make sure that the action you're taking is in alignment with your short-term goals. And as long as your short-term goals are aligned with your medium-term goals and your medium-term goals with your long-term objectives, you are on the right path. Every day, just check in with yourself. Am I being who I need to be to put myself on this other fork? The fork that takes me down a path to create an outcome that I choose for myself, or am I defaulting back to the path that I was on before? Am I steering this ship, or is my unconscious steering the ship? The more you consciously get involved in your life, the more consciously you are in choosing your actions and making sure that you're doing the right things, the more your unconscious will learn from this, the more your unconscious will get on board, and the more the new path will become the default path. But that takes quite a bit of time yet. It takes a while for the unconscious to get on board fully. Until that happens, we have to set the agenda and we have to check in to make sure that we are walking the right path. Check in with yourself. Once you've got your goals, check in with yourself every hour. Set an alarm. Set a reminder on your phone every hour. Ping. What path am I on? Ping. Am I consciously moving my life forward, or is my unconscious steering me back to that predetermined path that I was on? You'll realize when you check in with yourself, even if you checked in every 5 minutes, you'll realize how much is actually unconsciously driven. And you're never going to be 100% in charge. The most you can be is 5% in control. We want to leverage that 5% to keep the unconscious on our chosen path. Then we can re-educate the unconscious to start taking the actions that we need it to and want to, so that we now start to go on a default journey to a new default objective and outcome. And it's the one that we set in place, the one that we chose. We're the navigator. The unconscious is the captain. We set the destination. We then have to continually check in with the captain to make sure that he's following that plan that assures us of being on the right path and achieving the right outcomes and objectives for us. Every moment of every day, there's a crossroads. You can choose to go the default route, the one you're on right now, or you can choose the new path. You can exist in the limited possibility of what has gone before, your learning and education, your experiences of the past, or you can embrace and expand the possibility that's out there for you. The infinite possibility, the infinite combinations of who you could be and how life could be. Choose the one that you want, choose the path that you want, hold yourself on that path, hold yourself accountable to that path, check in consistently, make sure you've got goals, make sure you have a plan, a strategy for achieving on those goals, and check in and check in and check in. Awesome, guys. Embrace the possibility that exists out there for you and create the life of your choosing. If you are a 5-figure business, you might be doing 30, 40, maybe 50, 60,000 in turnover, but you haven't yet hit 100K in revenue, then don't forget the 6-figure fast track is waiting for you right now. It's a free resource, completely free of charge. It's a masterclass, it's a webinar that takes you through the 3 core components that you need to be aware of as a 5-figure business owner to get you to 6 figures, to 100K or more in 12 months or even less. We talk about the 6-figure mindset. We look at how you can create a 6-figure model, and we also look at your 6-figure methodology. These are the day-to-day activities that you need to be focused on that's going to take your business to 100K. And in fact, more importantly, the stuff that you need to stop, the stuff that's getting in the way of you growing your business. If you're an ambitious business owner and you want to hit 100K in the next 12 months or less, get yourself on the 6-figure fast track. You'll find that at biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk/fast track. I'll also drop the link in the descriptions below. I'll also put a link to my goal setting process. If you haven't got goals right now, or you set goals at the beginning of the year and they've already all turned to shit, then maybe follow my process for creating kick-ass goals. I'll put the link to that as well. It takes you through the exact same process that every single member of my success groups and my Extreme Growth Mastermind goes through to make sure that they have crystal clear objectives, crystal clear goals for the year. It also helps you break those goals down systematically so that you can just work on the bit you need to right now that keeps you on that path of achieving those goals and those objectives which are aligned with your big vision. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have an awesome couple of days, and until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.